Hey, what's going on, everyone? What's going on? Your friend Dean Kulaweera here every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. I'm right here to help you folks out in your job search, all right? So, quick shout out to everyone tuning in on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Where else? I was trying to do my Instagram, but I was having some technical. I always have technical issues with Instagram, so apologies to my Instagram people. I'm gonna have to shut down that stream. But thank you so much if you're tuning in. If you're watching the replay, if you want to tune in live, make sure you tune in. Mark your calendars, folks. Every Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, right here. Your boy Dean Kulaweera is right here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter to help you out in your job search, right? So don't be shy. Introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, which city you're from, what field, what industry you represent. And let the world know you exist, folks. Let the world know you exist. Let's see who is here. We got Gurpreet in the house. Hey, Gurpreet, good to have you here. Thanks so much for tuning in. And look, folks, today what I'm going to be talking about is pre-screen mistakes. All right, pre-screen is the initial conversation you have with recruiters. Right now, yes, I'm an IT recruiter, but this applies whatever your field is. I don't care if you're in IT, accounting, finance, sales, marketing, construction, plumbing, customer service, whatever the deal is. The pre-screen, there is a specific purpose of the pre-screen, and I'm going to get into that in a bit more detail shortly. But it's a very important conversation, folks. So I'm going to be talking about mistakes that I have typically seen as a recruiter, and not just myself, but what I have observed and heard from my peers in the industry as well, in terms of what mistakes people are making, people as in candidates, job seekers, on the pre-screen that you might not be realizing that you're making. All right, so feel free to let me know your experiences as well with pre-screens that you've had with recruiters. Feel free to let me know your thoughts, your experiences, as well as your questions in relation to this pre-screen. All right, now let's see, we got a couple more comments here. We got Radha in the house from Brampton. We got B-Town in the house. Good to have you here, Radha. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got Gautam Chopra. Shout out to my friend Gautam. Good to see you here, Gautam. Gautam is in Toronto. He's a senior manager, consultant, enterprise process management. That's more like it. Love when people introduce themselves and what they do and what skills they bring to the table. Especially if you're an IT professional here in Toronto, I definitely want to hear about what you do and what you're up to because, hey, maybe I can help you. If not right now, maybe at some point in the future, folks, with potential job opportunities. All right, so don't be shy. Keep those comments coming. And again, what I wanted to speak, and let's get into today's topic. All right, let's definitely get into today's topic. And before I get into it, make sure you hit me up with a like and a share. In case there's anyone in your network that you feel would benefit from today's topic. Now, before we get into today's topic, we got some more questions here. We got Deepika in the house from Toronto, Ontario. Awesome. Good to have you here, Deepika. And thanks so much for tuning in. All right, folks. So here's the deal. All right. Pre-screen. Now, what do I mean by pre-screen? Well, the pre-screen is that conversation, that initial conversation most of you folks will be having, typically with the recruiter. All right. This is the first conversation. Like, this is when you submit your resume, you submit your application, whether it's directly to an organization, maybe it's to a staffing agency, maybe it's to a job board, et cetera, et cetera. You folks get the point, right? And we're beyond that point right now. Now, what's happened is the organization or the recruiter has gotten back to you and said, hey, let's set up an initial conversation so I can learn a bit more about yourself and what skills you have and see if there's a good fit here, blah, 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 whatever. And they schedule that initial conversation. That is the conversation I'm talking about today, folks. It's the pre-screen, right? The pre-screen, the way, and if you've been following me for a while, you'll hear me say this fairly often whenever I'm talking about pre-screens, right? And the way I think about the pre-screen is, hey, the pre-screen, if you look at any interview cycle, any recruitment cycle, the pre-screen is that conversation which determines if further conversations will take place. This is the essence of the pre-screen, folks. If you're taking notes, you want to definitely write that down, simply due to this signifying the importance of the pre-screen, all right? The pre-screen is the conversation that will determine if further conversations will take place, all right? And I like to define it that way because it shows the real importance and gravity of this conversation, the pre-screen. Because, hey, some of you out there, many people out there might be like, oh, yeah, it's just a pre-screen. It's just with the recruiter. It's just with the staffing agency. It's nothing to be preparing for. It's nothing to be worried about. And hey, look, I'm not saying that this conversation should be like, a drill sergeant session where they're just drilling you and grilling you on questions. I'm not saying it should be like that. But what I'm saying is, folks, this is an important conversation. I do not want you to underestimate the importance of this conversation. So let's just take one step back and let's talk about why this pre-screen is so important, right? Now, I'm talking about pre-screen conversations with recruiters today, all right? We're focusing on recruiters today. And what the essence of this conversation is. Remember, the mandate of the recruiter, whether it's a staffing agency recruiter, whether it's a corporate recruiter, and if anything else exists in between, whatever the case is, a recruiter's primary mandate, folks, is to find and shortlist maybe the top between 3 to 5 top candidates to present to the hiring team. All right, that is the mandate of the recruiter. That is the recruiter's task, and that is what they're trying to do, right? So the purpose of this pre-screen, and by the way, there might be multiple conversations the recruiter will have set up with other candidates to determine, hey, who are the 3 to 5 people that I'm going to present to the hiring team in relation to this position. And the pre-screen helps the recruiter accomplish that. All right, I just wanted to give you a bit of background there so you understand the importance of the pre-screen to the recruiter, so you can understand why it's important for you as well as a candidate. All right, so knowing the function of the pre-screen, knowing the gravity and importance of the pre-screen, let's get right into the mistakes I have personally seen, as well as mistakes that I have heard from my peers in the industry that candidates have consistently and constantly or frequently made in relation to the pre-screen. All right. So, hey, by the way, if you have any questions so far, feel free to put in the comments. I'll get into the comments so far. Or if you understand what I'm saying so far, let me know in the comments, folks. Be active, be proactive, be seen, be visible in the comments. This is a great way to let people know, including myself, that you exist, especially if you're in IT. I want to know that you exist. I want to know who you are, and I want you to be active in the comments. All right. So let's get right into it. Now I'm going to talk about 6 mistakes. All right. Now, this does not mean these are the only 6 mistakes people are making on the pre-screen. I'm just saying these are the 6 most common mistakes I have seen and what I have heard from my peers in the industry, other recruiters, in terms of mistakes that people are making in the pre-screen. All right. So mistake number 1 is, and I've already kind of alluded to this before, mistake number 1 is simply not taking the pre-screen seriously, right? A lot of people out there, they have this kind of happy-go-lucky, passive kind of attitude towards the pre-screen. Oh yeah, it's just with the recruiter. Recruiters don't know what they're talking about anyway. Recruiters don't know anything about IT or tech or accounting or finance and whatever my field is in. So I just have to be positive and nice and professional and courteous, and I don't have to prepare for this conversation. Wrong, folks. This is not a conversation you want to wing. This is not a conversation you want to leave to chance or luck. Take this conversation very, very seriously. Yes, there's going to be some rookie recruiters out there. Yes, there's going to be some junior entry-level recruiters out there who have like zero idea about the position they're recruiting on. But that does not mean you should be prepared to speak with an experienced high-level or senior-level recruiter, because those senior experienced recruiters are going to be really looking for whether or not you're the right fit for the position. All right. So mistake number 1, avoid this mistake. Take this conversation very seriously. Do not assume that this is just some simple conversation with some rookie recruiter who's not going to know what they're talking about and what they're looking for. Always assume that the recruiter you will be speaking with is a senior recruiter and someone who knows their stuff, is well informed about the project or this position that they're recruiting on. And your goal is to go in there to make a fantastic impression. All right. And also, of course, at your end, you want to learn more about the position, the opportunity, if it makes sense for you, if you even want to be considered this point onwards. But if you have agreed to a pre-scheduled conversation, you might as well put your 100% forward. All right. I'm going to go a bit into the comments here. I think we have some comments. We got Johan in the house, Johan De Silva from Winnipeg. Wow, we got Winnipeg in the house. A shout out to Johan. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got my friend Elham in the house. Elham, always good to see you here. Hope you're doing fantastic. David says, hi, junior developer, graduating school in December. Awesome. Good to see that, David. Let us know in the comments, David, what languages, like what technical skills you have. Like, be more detailed, right? So people know what programming and development skills you bring to the table. But all the best to you, David, in your graduation. Hope that, either myself or someone else out there can help you with your first opportunity. All right. We got Abdul Wahab, my friend Abdul Wahab in the house from Oklahoma. We got Oklahoma in the building. Shout out to Abdul Wahab. Good to have you here, Abdul. Thanks so much for tuning in. All right. So I see some more questions. I'm going to get to the question shortly, but let me keep this thing moving forward. All right. Now, that was mistake number one. Now, mistake number two is when you're on the phone call with the recruiter, right? A lot of you folks, and I've noticed this quite frequently, and I've heard this from my peers in the industry as well. A lot of you folks, you're talking about each and every single aspect of your background and your experience and your projects and what you've done and what you bring to the table, which is great. Hey, it's good that you folks are prepared to talk about your experiences. But what I wanted to highlight as a mistake here is simply not highlighting the relevant stuff. Folks, relevant, all right? If you're taking notes, you want to underline the word relevant. You need to be speaking about relevant experience. You have to find out from the recruiter as soon as possible what caught their attention about your resume. Recruiters are not randomly giving you a phone call, folks. I promise you that. I guarantee that. Recruiters are not randomly giving you a phone call, and they're certainly not randomly scheduling a conversation with you if something did not capture their attention, something very specific, by the way, that captured their attention on your resume or maybe your LinkedIn profile. So always verify this as early on in the conversation as possible. And it could be as simple as asking, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Recruiter, what caught your attention about my resume? Before I get to talking about myself, and I'm happy to give you more information about myself and my experiences, out of curiosity, what caught your attention about my resume? Simple question, folks. Ask that as soon as possible so you can verify from the recruiter what exactly caught their attention. And they might say, hey, well, when I was reviewing your resume, Dean, I noticed that you have extensive experience working on CRM projects, and that caught my attention. Now, knowing that information, what does that mean, folks? That means you probably want to spend a bit more time or extra special attention in talking about your CRM projects that you worked on, because obviously that caught the recruiter's attention. And going back to what I said before, remember, the recruiter's job is to find the top 3 to 5 candidates for the hiring team. And if the CRM projects caught the recruiter's attention, what does that tell you? That tells you, hey, probably that's what the hiring team is looking for, is someone with your skills in your field who has extensive experience with CRM projects. So during the duration of your conversation with the recruiter, I'm not saying ignore all of your other experiences and all of your other projects. What I'm saying is, if you can highlight what caught their attention of the recruiter, then you know the relevant stuff. And if you know what the relevant stuff is, you want to give some extra special attention, some TLC, some more insights and highlights into your experience in that relevant area. So this is and again, going back to that, that's what you should be doing. But the mistake in relation to this is simply, hey, a lot of you are just talking about every single aspect of your background, right? And the recruiter, most of the time, the recruiter won't admit this, but you're going to lose them within the first 30 to 60 seconds, folks, because a lot of you are just talking about each and every aspect of your background, and the recruiter is just going to tune out. They're going to tune out. They're going to zone out. Yeah, they're going to be professional. Yeah, they're going to be courteous and all that stuff. But you only have, within the first 60 seconds of your conversation with the recruiter, you only have that first 60 seconds to get their attention and keep their attention. And in order to get their attention and keep their attention, my suggestion, and this is based on my own experiences as a recruiter myself, and also from my conversations with my peers in the industry as well, you want to focus on the relevant stuff, all right? So that's mistake number 2. Avoid talking about each and every aspect of your background. You want to focus on the relevant stuff. Not enough of you are focusing on the relevant stuff. Now, which brings me to mistake number 3, and let me just quickly check the comments as well. We got a question here from Gautam. So Gautam says, what's the right way to answer a question related to compensation expectation from HR? Because every organization has their salary bracket, but it's not disclosed to you. Researching on Glassdoor does not show expected outcome. So how should we go about it? Can we just turn the table on HR and ask what's their bracket? Yeah, so Gautam, you can certainly turn the tables on HR and ask what their bracket is. But I also want you to go in as a well-informed candidate, right? So you got to be doing market research, Gautam. Now, there's different things you can do to actually research the standard salary and rate in the market for your field or for your profession. But one thing I can suggest, Gautam, that will be helpful in your research is most major staffing agencies release an annual salary guide, right? This is most major staffing agencies. It's usually the medium to large size ones. Maybe there are some smaller size ones that do this, but many well-known staffing agencies out there, they release an annual salary guide for specific fields and industries and stuff like that. So I'm not sure what your field is, Gautam, but you want to check, first of all, check out a staffing agency that recruits in your area, in your space. And the next thing you want to do is check out their website. Go to their website, see if they've published an annual salary guide. And this should be a great source for you to find out, okay, what's the standard or average salary in your field, so you can decide on what makes sense for you in terms of what skills you bring to the table and all that stuff, and whether you fit into that bracket or if you're able to justify asking for more, right? So that would be my advice for you, Gautam. Hope that helps. Then we got a question here from Abdul Wahab. So Abdul Wahab, shout out to Abdul Wahab. So Abdul Wahab says, is the discussion today applicable to other industries aside from IT? Yeah, absolutely, Abdul Wahab. Definitely not just IT. I did mention that early on in the segment, but yeah, it's not just for IT. All right, this applies. Today's topic applies to any industry. All right, so let me get back into the mistakes. All right, so the third mistake is simply taking a scattered approach when you're being asked to run the recruiter through your resume. Standard question you will be asked, folks, is, hey, can you run me through your resume? The recruiter will ask you this. Whether it's, again, a corporate recruiter or a staffing agency recruiter, this is a standard question every recruiter is going to ask you. And feel free to let me know in the comments if you agree with me on this. It's a typical question a recruiter is going to ask you. Hey, can you run me through your resume? Or, hey, can you run me through your background experience in XYZ? Or, hey, can you run me through your experience with company ABC? They will ask you to do this at some point, folks. And the third mistake here is, a lot of you, when you're being asked to do this, you're taking a very scattered approach. Like, you're all over the place. You talk about this project and then you go into that project. You talk about this and then you talk about that. You talk about something you did like recently, then you talk about something in the past, and you go back to something that you did recently. It's just really confusing and messed up. Like, a lot of you might be doing this unknowingly, not because you don't know your stuff, but simply because you might be nervous, excited, a little anxious, whatever it is, right? So you got to make sure you're not taking this scattered approach. So you want to be very structured, very logical in your approach to how you do this, right? Now, by the way, I will be selecting some of the best comments or questions today, and I will give a free copy of my PDF, How to Run a Recruiter Through Your Resume. All right. So those of you who don't have that, those of you who have been asking great questions or making great comments in the comment section, I will pick out a few people who will get a free copy of my PDF, How to Run a Recruiter Through Your Resume. That PDF will describe to you how you should be running recruiters through your resume the right way. That's structured, that's logical, and that's not confusing to the recruiter. Because look, if you're confusing the recruiter, they're not going to admit it. They're not going to say, hey, whoa, slow down. I'm not following. I'm not understanding what you're doing. They're not going to say that, folks. They're going to stay on the call with you. They're gonna be professional. They're gonna be polite and all that stuff. But at the end of the call, they're not going to know what the heck is going on because you're taking a scattered approach. All right. So again, best comments, best questions in the comments. I will be selecting a couple of people, and I will give you a copy of my free PDF, How to Run a Recruiter Through Your Resume. All right. So that's mistake number 3 you want to avoid. Now, mistake number 4. Unprepared to discuss your resume, right? This is another, sadly, it's a common mistake that I see so many people make on the pre-screen with myself as a recruiter, as well as other recruiters in the industry as well. And before I get into that, let's see, I think we have some more comments here. We got Michael from Maryland in the house. Hey, shout out to Michael. Good to have you here, Michael. And then Mohammed Habibur Rahman. So Mohammed says, when they ask for salary, what should be our response? Well, ideally, Mohammed, you should have done your background research. You should be able to confidently describe what your salary expectation is, right? The recruiter doesn't know that. The hiring manager doesn't know that. And yeah, we can do the whole back and forth thing where you ask the HR to provide what their budget is, and then they say, oh no, we want to know what yours, and you can do the whole back and forth thing. Or Mohammed, what you can do is simply confidently state what you're looking for, right? And my advice is to state a specific figure. Now, a lot of you are not doing the research. A lot of you are presenting like a range and stuff like that. My suggestion is provide a specific figure. Now, in order for you to provide that specific figure and to do that confidently, you need to do your research. You need to be aware of what the standard market rates and all that stuff is on the market for your field. And you have to be well aware of what you bring to the table, right? What skills, experiences, expertise you bring to the table. And additionally, you have to have a strong idea of what the main pain points, challenges, outcomes, and ROI the organization is looking for you to accomplish. Knowing that stuff, you will be able to confidently present whatever your asking figure and rate is, Mohammed. All right. So hope that helps. Mohammed says, because if we get selected, that's the salary we're getting. Yeah, exactly. So you better know your stuff and you better go in confidently being able to present that, right? So what else here? We got another question here. So it's not a question, comment. So Gurpreet says, own your worth, own what you are worth, and don't be afraid to say what you are worth. Tell them exactly what you want in salary. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you got to know your worth, folks. You got to know your worth, and you got to know, have the data to back it up, and you got to be able to present that confidently. So Gaurav says, "Hi Dean, why recruiter asks why you're looking?" Yeah, so this is a great question. So Gaurav, so what Gaurav is saying is, why is it that sometimes when you get on a pre-screen or a phone call with the recruiter, why do recruiters ask why you're looking? I mean, there might be many reasons why why recruiters might be asking this, Gaurav, but the main reason is, and the main reason a recruiter would ask this is simply to kickstart a discussion around your motivations. What is your motivation as a candidate? Why are you looking to leave your current position? What interested you in this opportunity? What interested you about this particular project? These are things that helps the recruiter understand your motivations and also who you are as a person. What's important to you as a candidate? What's inspiring you to really move forward in your career? What caught your attention about this position that with their company? Or what caught your attention about this position with their client if it's a staffing agency, right? So it's basically for the recruiter to figure out motivation. What's motivating you? What made you want to get on this call and have this conversation? So that's the reason why the recruiter is generally asking, why are you looking to make a move right now, right? So hope that helps, Gaurav, and hope that clears that up. Now, before I get into, I do see there's more questions and comments. I will get to the question shortly, but wanted to move on with the other mistakes. Now, the other mistake is, and what I mentioned was simply unprepared to discuss your resume. Look, I can't tell you how many times, folks, I've been on a phone call with a candidate and I've asked them to describe some project or something that caught my attention on their resume, and they simply could not remember it. Which, by the way, folks, I'm not blaming people for not remembering stuff. It happens, right? Especially if it's something from a year back, a couple of years back, and especially for those of you who might be contractors or consultants, or you've racked up so many projects within the past couple of months or maybe year or two. It's totally understandable that you would not remember each and every aspect of the projects. I'm not saying that. I mean that. Of course, recruiters are going to give you some leeway in regards to that. But if you know you have a phone call scheduled with a recruiter, right? It's a pre-scheduled conversation. You have to be very, very familiar with your resume. Refresh yourself on your resume. Refresh yourself on the most recent project. Refresh yourself on the most relevant projects, right? You have to be able to describe and discuss your experiences and what's on your resume. I don't remember that is not a good response. If a recruiter says, "Hey, can you tell me about your time at company ABC?" It was like 2-3 years ago. I can't really remember that. It's on my resume. Not a good response, folks. You have to be the expert on your resume. A lot of you out there might be like, "Okay, I got a great resume. That's all I need. I'm all set. That's going to get me interviews." Yeah, to a certain degree, a great resume is important. But a resume is just a tool, folks. You are the expert on your resume. You need to be the one who is an expert on your resume. And you have to be able to expand and elaborate on each and every bullet point mentioned on your resume. And if you're like, "Oh, Dean, well, that's not reasonable. Some of the stuff might be from a few years back. I might not remember." Okay, fine. In that case, do not mention that bullet point on your resume. If you think you can't remember the stuff, you don't want to take the time to remember this stuff and all that stuff, then don't mention it, folks. Right? I mean, it's almost like a marketing brochure, right? If you have I'm just looking for a marketing brochure, but I don't have any. If you have a marketing brochure and you're looking at it and there's a bullet point there and you ask the company, "Hey, can you clarify this?" And the company says, "Oh no, well, we did that a while back, so we're not sure what that is." How reasonable is that, right? It doesn't make any sense. So look, if you're unsure about any single bullet point on your resume and you feel like you can't remember it, it's from too long back, then take it off, remove it. It should not be on your resume. If you cannot elaborate and clarify anything on your resume, it should not be on your resume. But if it is, be prepared to talk about it, discuss it, expand on it, and elaborate on it as well, right? If it's on your resume, you have to be the expert on it. You have to be able to clarify and verify and talk about anything listed on your resume. And this is another mistake you definitely want to make sure you avoid, folks, right? You have to be able to help the recruiter make the decision and see that, yes, this is someone that I want to move forward to the hiring team. If you're not doing that, if you can't remember stuff, then it's not going to give the recruiter that confidence to move you forward in the process. We got Innocent here in the house from Zimbabwe, based out of the UAE. Shout out to Innocent. Good to have you here, Innocent, all the way from the UAE. Shout out to the UAE and all my people in the UAE. We got Johan. Johan says, "Hey, Dean, if the posting has a salary mentioned, how do we mention we fit into the higher limit in the range?" All right, so this is a great question. So what Johan is, and by the way, Johan, send me a private message. I definitely want to give you a copy of my PDF, How to Run a Recruiter Through Your Resume. All right, so if you're still on the live stream, Johan, send me a private message. Remind me about that. And I definitely want to give you a copy of my PDF because this is such a great question. So Johan is saying, look, Dean, what if the job description says, okay, this is the salary range, and then Johan gets on the phone call with the recruiter, and Johan realizes that they would actually fit into a higher salary range. How can you deal with that? How can you deal with that situation? Well, simply here's the thing, Johan. Right, number one is if you're on the call with the recruiter and everything seems to be going well, obviously they see you as a viable fit for the position, right? Now, the second thing you want to do, Johan, is you have to explain to the recruiter that, hey, look, based on what you told me about this position and based on what I bring to the table, this role would require me to present myself at a figure higher than what you're asking for, or what's in the salary range, right? So I would suggest you do this, Johan, after you get an understanding of the requirements for the role, what their expectations are, and what they want the ideal candidate to perform in the role. That's the first thing. And second thing is you want to highlight those extra additional skills and assets and expertise you bring to the table that will be of benefit to the company. That's the second thing you want to do. And then finally, that's when you get into telling them, hey, look, based on what you're looking for an ideal candidate, and based on what you're looking for the ideal candidate in this role to accomplish, and based on all these extras that I bring to the table, additional skills, expertise, and assets that I bring to the table that will help you achieve all that, my asking salary and rate is XYZ, right? So that's how you want to do it, Johan. So you got to take a logical approach. You can't just randomly just throw it out there. Like, you have to make them see and understand, yeah, I'm not just throwing some high figure here. Like, I'm being logical here. You folks are looking for someone who can do XYZ. I have those skills plus more. I bring much more to the table that is of benefit to the company. And due to that, my asking salary is this, and that salary might be higher than what was stated in the job description. So hope that helps, Johan. I would say use that approach. Be logical, folks, right? The rest of you watching this, be logical, be structured, be logical, and you have to sell each and every aspect of who you are and what you bring to the table, including your salary and what your asking salary and rate is, all right? So great question there, Johan. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Hey, we got my friend Sneha in the house. Hey, shout out to Sneha. It's good to see you here, Sneha. And Sneha and I used to work together in the staffing industry, and she's a recruiter, and currently she's a corporate recruiter as well. So hey, she's a corporate recruiter at I believe HSBC, if I'm not mistaken. So hey, if you're in the Greater Toronto area, you want to know about job opportunities in HSBC, give Sneha a shout out. She might be able to connect you with relevant opportunities. All right. So Sneha says, refresh your memory of the projects or remove the project if you can't remember the details. Yeah, exactly, Sneha. Right. That's exactly it. Don't mention stuff on your resume, folks. If you can't remember that stuff, don't bother mentioning it on your resume, right? Because what's the point of doing that? Sneha says, also be prepared to answer what interested you in the role you are speaking to the recruiter for. Exactly. And what else here? Yeah, so great questions there. Johan says, will do. Thanks, Dean. Hey, no worries, Johan. So getting right into the next mistake, right? Mistake number 5 is, right, projecting onto the recruiter. Now, what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is some of you folks, or maybe many of you folks, are having negative experiences with recruiters out there, and you get on a call with you get onto this pre-screen with this recruiter, and you project that negativity onto this new recruiter you're speaking to. New as in not like new as in entry level or junior recruiter, whatever it is, whatever career level this recruiter is in, right? Folks, listen to what I'm saying. Just because you have some negative experiences with some other recruiters, do not project that. Do not put that onto this recruiter you're speaking with, right? Yes, I know some of you have these unprofessional experiences and terrible experiences with other recruiters. They ghost you, they don't get back to you, and all that stuff. And hey, if you follow me for a while, you know I'm one of the most vocal people about that. I speak out against that. I do not support recruiters doing that. But that being said, do not bring that negativity into every conversation you have with a recruiter, right? Unless they provide you with proof and evidence that they're just like that and they're unprofessional, they're not ethical, and that's a different story. But do not project those negative experiences, and don't give attitude to some recruiter you're speaking with just because you had some bad experiences with some other recruiters. It will not benefit you. It will not help you move forward, right? Treat every single recruiter upon initial contact, the first time you speak with them, unless they prove otherwise, treat them with the same courtesy and respect and professionalism as you would expect yourself. All right. Because I've seen this all the time. And hey, look, I personally understand it. I understand it. I'm able to handle people with attitudes and negativity and stuff like that. I'm able to turn the situation around. But not every recruiter out there is going to take those efforts, folks. Not every recruiter out there is going to be able to turn things around and give you and even take the effort into giving a positive impression. They're just going to move on to the next candidate, right? And I don't want that to happen to you, because I know a lot of you folks are great people. You have a great value you bring to the table. So again, mistake number 5 is do not project previous bad experiences with recruiters or with other recruiters. Do not project that negativity onto the recruiter you're speaking with. That will affect you. That will affect their perception of you. And unless they prove otherwise, you want to give them a fair shot. You want to give the recruiter you're speaking to a fair shot. Assume they're professional. Assume they're ethical. Assume it's a good recruiter. Assume it's a great recruiter who's going to treat you with transparency, professionalism, courtesy, all that good stuff, unless they prove otherwise. All right. If they prove otherwise, hey, knock yourself out. Feel free to go crazy on them. All right. So that's mistake number 5. Now we got some other question here. Gaurav says, I see sometimes they say for higher salary range, you need to have ABC title for the role. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, Gaurav, yeah. So what Gaurav is saying is, look, some organizations say, look, we got certain salary brackets for certain job titles. And it's typically like large size organizations, right? Where they say, okay, this salary range is only for level 1 or level 2 positions for this role, or level 3 or level 3. They have these very formalized salary brackets for specific positions. So yeah, I mean, if that's the case, Gaurav, then maybe there's nothing you can do about it, right? But you might as well give it a shot. Might as well show them what you bring to the table, what they want you to do, what they want you to accomplish in the role, what you bring to the table, and all those added bonuses and pluses that you bring to the table, and then finally what you're specifically looking for from a salary range. Might as well go for it, Gaurav, and have them say, no, sorry, we still can't do it because this is only for this position title. Then hey, I mean, then it's up to you, Gaurav, if you even want to move on with this position or not. But if not, hey, if you're okay with it, then and you still want to proceed with it, then that's up to you, right? So yeah, that would be my suggestion for that. Now, mistake number 6. All right, this is the final mistake and probably one of the most important ones. Not discussing results achieved, right? This is a mistake many of you are making. You're talking about what you did. You tell, yeah, Dean, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. I know this technology, I know this framework, I know this methodology. I got this certification, I got that certification, I got this degree, I got that degree. I got Celsius, I got Fahrenheit, I got every degree out there. Yeah, but what you're not doing, folks, is you're not talking about results. You got to talk about results, folks, right? It's great if you're well qualified. You got the certifications, you got the degrees, you got the diplomas, you know this technology, you know this methodology, you know this framework, you work with this system, that's great. But what have you done as a result of these things that you bring to the table? Results, folks, results, outcomes, ROI. Majority of you out there are not talking about this stuff, right? And this is one of the great differentiating factors between yourself and some other candidate with the exact same skills, knowledge, experiences, and expertise that you bring to the table, right? What is the difference between 2 candidates with equal skills, knowledge, experiences, right? What can not possibly be identical between 2 such candidates? Outcomes, folks, outcomes, results, achievements, ROI, return on investment, right? That is what makes you unique. And that is what you need to be communicating to the recruiter. And actually, while we're on the topic, not just the recruiter, but also on your resume, a lot of you folks are just talking about what you did, but you're not connecting what you did with outcomes and results you achieved, right? Remember, folks, you might be thinking of yourself as an employee. You might be thinking of your salary and rate as just a salary and rate, but no, it's an investment. The organization is looking to invest in you, right? Salary and rate is an investment. They're looking to invest in you in order to achieve or get some kind of return, right? Return in terms of increase in revenue, time savings, cost savings, who knows what, right? There's always some kind of a return, some kind of an outcome. And that's what you want to focus on. That's what you want to highlight, especially when you're talking about your experiences with the recruiter. And if not with the recruiter, definitely, folks, with the hiring manager, right? Your direct hiring manager. You have to be talking about results and outcomes achieved. And this is the sixth mistake, and I saved it for last because it's one of the major mistakes so many of you are making on the pre-screen with the recruiter. You're talking about what you did, which is great, but that's only one aspect of the formula. A lot of you are missing out on this second aspect, and that is connecting what you did with the outcomes, right? Because when you talk about your outcomes, results, outcomes achieved, things that have occurred as a result of your involvement, when you talk about that, that's how you're going to show your impact, right? Because without that, there's no impact. There's no visible impact. Okay, great. I mean, it's great you got this certification. Yeah, it's great you can program with, Angular and Node.js and all that stuff. Yeah, it's great you worked on cloud projects or CRM projects. Yeah, it's great you worked on so many different accounting or finance related projects. Yeah, great. I mean, that's great. But what's the end result of that? What is the outcome of all of that? Why does that matter? Why should the company care? Why should the recruiter care? Why should I care? Well, this is where you got to talk about your outcomes and results, and basically, folks, the impact you bring. Look, each and every one of you on this live stream right now, whether you know it or not, you are not just what you do on a day-to-day basis. Companies, organizations do not hire you to simply perform tasks. Okay, they're not hiring you to perform tasks. They're hiring you to perform tasks which produce outcomes. Listen to what I'm saying, folks. If you're taking notes, you want to write that down. Organizations do not hire you to perform tasks. They perform you to hire tasks which produce outcomes and results, ROI. And that's how you're going to be able to showcase your impact to the recruiter and not just the recruiter, like I said, but the hiring manager, the hiring team, the team members, whoever else is in the department, organization, or whatever it is, right? So this is the mistake you do not want to make. You want to talk about outcomes and results, ROI, that you have to help achieve so you can show your impact. Because all of you folks on this session right now have a lot you bring to the table, but you're just not communicating it. You're not talking about your impact. You're not talking about the results you helped achieve. You are not just some cog in a wheel, folks. Like, you contribute to some outcome. Maybe it's one outcomes, maybe it's two outcomes, maybe it's a set of outcomes, maybe it's multiple outcomes, right? Maybe it's on a day-to-day level. Maybe it's on a mid to long-term level, right? Whatever it is, you got to figure that out. You got to be able to articulate that and communicate that to the recruiter and to the hiring team, all right? So look, hope you folks got great value out of that. That is today's session. Congrats to Johan for his great question. And again, Johan, send me a direct message. I'll send you my PDF of the how you should be running recruiters through your resume. So congratulations on that to Johan. Tune in every Wednesday, folks. And by the way, just a heads up, right? Just a heads up, and I'll get to any remaining questions. By the way, if you have any remaining questions or comments, put them in the comments right now, and I will get to that shortly. But just a heads up, I am working on a course that teaches you from end to end how to deal with and win in your conversations with recruiters. All right, I'll be releasing more details shortly, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, hey, make sure you tune in every Wednesday, folks, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. If you're an IT professional in the Greater Toronto area, I will be launching my recruitment business shortly. All right, it's not official. I have unofficially started operating it, but I will be going full blast, all right, with my recruitment business. So if you're an IT professional in the Greater Toronto area, you've been watching this, you've been too shy to put something in the comments, or maybe you just want to introduce yourself, do not be shy, folks. Send me a direct message, introduce yourself. I want to know about you. I want to know who you are. I want to know your career goals. I want to know what your expertise is. And I want to see if I can help you with your next career move, your next career opportunity in Canada, right? Most probably in the Greater Toronto area. But whatever it is, if you're an IT professional in the Greater Toronto area, or you're going to be moving to the Greater Toronto area, or you're going to be moving to Canada, let me know. Send me a direct message, introduce yourself. Definitely want to see if I can help, all right? So it looks like that's all for the questions and the comments and all that stuff. So appreciate everyone tuning in. Shout out to everyone on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter for tuning in. And mark your calendars, folks. Every Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, I'm right here to help you folks out in your job search. Dean Kulaweera here, signing out. I'm hungry, I'm starving. So I'm going to end the session. Everyone have a fantastic week. Keep pushing through. Don't give up. And remember, folks, impact. You got to talk about your impact, folks. You have a lot you bring to the table, and you want to talk about your impact and what you bring to the table. All right. Hey, Dean Kulaweera here again. Have a fantastic remainder of the week. Stay positive. Keep pushing through, folks. Keep pushing through. I'm rooting for you. All right.